Hey YouTube, Melissa Francisco here with Transition Designs, here to talk to you today about how to get your employees to innovate. And this is especially important if you have a traditional hierarchical structured organization. So leading companies often have their employees engage in innovative work as part of their weekly routines, whether it's part of their job description or a certain number of hours per week that they dedicate towards innovative projects. This time is usually focused on helping these organizations achieve a long-term mission or vision that the company has. It can also be project related. For organizations outside of tech that are disruptors, the concept of innovation can seem mysterious or difficult, like it's something that is very difficult to kind of grasp and get your hands on. Innovation can mean innovation in your product line. It can be innovation in the markets that you're serving. But regardless, larger traditional companies tend to engage more in incremental process improvements or small innovations on what is known now, your current markets and your current products instead. This may have sufficed about a decade ago, but a lack of innovation poses a threat in today's environment where you have economic and technological, socio-demographic forces that are placing pressure on the organization to adapt to a rapidly changing business environment. So larger companies, they typically, what they do is they create an R&D department where innovation is the primary focus of specific teams. A lot of companies now, what they're doing is they're equipping employees at all levels with requests to innovate and saying, kind of championing, we need your help, we need your involvement, we need you to generate ideas, etc., and moving away from traditional siloed roles. The benefit of employees aiding in innovation is it can help with innovation at all levels. It can aid adaptation to internal changes and to external pressures. So it also helps to inspire a critical skill set of the employee of the future that will be required to adapt to a rapid pace of change, which is already happening. But placing innovation activities, this is a key takeaway, on one team or on one department or on one program is a model that is now outdated. Employers who want their employees to innovate have to put systems and structures in place to enable this competency. This is especially the case if you've had an organization that's very hierarchical, it's very structured, and it's focused on measuring specific targeted results. If executives just say, okay, go innovate now, employees will be kind of used to the current structure. So innovation is very different from that. It involves experimentation, it involves failure, it represents development of new ideas. It's a whole different mindset, a whole different skill set than like continuously hitting bullseye in your cost schedule quality metrics as part of traditional project management. So expecting that employees will all of a sudden know how to innovate freely after decades of reinforcing compliance to structured processes is an evolution that takes time. So what can you do as organizational leaders to aid employees' abilities to innovate? There are two specific things that employers can do to help spark employee innovation. Number one is to structure processes in a way that incorporate innovative thinking and activities. Your external environment kind of consists of those products and services that your organization offers and how that reacts in the market. Also, what impacts the market has in terms of new entrants or substitute products and that type of thing. So employees operate in the context of the processes and expectations that the organization has for them. This can be related to their job role, related to their function. It can be related to how they do their actual work. An innovation check can be incorporated into your systems, into your processes, into your meetings, into your reviews, into aspects of the business that are focused on getting results, which is kind of like a check on what have we done here to be able to think in new and different ways? What ideas have we generated that can lead us to potentially generate new products or go into new markets with what we're doing now, even if it's somewhat incremental? Often when seeking to understand the value of innovation, senior executives ask teams to report on the cost and schedule of their innovative activities. This doesn't necessarily suggest that these questions are irrelevant. It's just perhaps incomplete. Traditional project management measurements a lot of times aren't necessarily completely relevant on innovation, which requires experimentation. It requires even failure sometimes to get to a clearer goal, to clarify your goal over time, which is a lot of times very nebulous when you first start out. So you could still ask the questions of, the cost and schedule associated with innovation, but focusing on innovation in terms of your processes, executives can focus on asking questions around creating specific innovation challenges for employees, providing sources of research for employees to be able to explore to gather information, providing time and space for employees to ideate and come up with solutions, test them, as well as opportunities to iterate while sharing their findings and progress with you along the way, because when learning is taking place, that is a form of innovation. So structuring innovation as part of your organizational processes, including those questions that executives ask, will help aid employee innovation. A second thing that can be done to aid employee innovation is make a deliberate effort to incorporate innovation into your culture. So if we start with our company situation, right? Those are then we move into our processes, which is how we do the work within the organization. In order to get results, it must first pass through the culture of the organization. What are the norms? What are the team norms or the hiring practices? What do people say? What do they do? What do they expect in terms of daily work or pace of work or group work together? Team meeting check-ins, executive communications, signage, hiring practices, job descriptions, and even water cooler talk all play a part in shaping the expectations and norms for employee behavior. If employees are always rewarded for hitting a targeted bullseye, then employees will be tempted and wanting to hit the bullseye. They'll want to be hitting perfection, and the result of that is that they will be very risk averse. If the organization is highly structured and it's hierarchical, employees will be less empowered to take on decision-making, risks, or experimentation without the involvement of multiple layers of management. So cultural norms can either aid or hinder innovation. What outdated cultural norms or expectations can you modify to encourage employee innovation? Some leaders think that simply asking employees to be innovative is all that's needed. You just give them permission, so to speak, and then they can just go out and conquer the world. For some organizations, however, especially hierarchical, structured, and rigid cultures, the more of this that your organization possesses, the more deliberate and structured you will need to be in providing context and guidance around your innovative activities, your expectations for innovation, and creating kind of that bridge between structure and kind of innovation. You need to help employees go from A to Z, so to speak. So employees will help sense the familiarity of structure there, but then they'll also be able to, over time, take on more responsibility for risk and opportunity identification. So it's through innovation occurring at all levels that organizations are able to effectively move towards an adaptive and resilient future. And two ways that you can get your employees to innovate are through structuring processes that incorporate innovative thinking and activities, and making a deliberate effort to incorporate innovation into your work culture. Transition Designs is dedicated to helping you create a strategy in the midst of uncertainty. The approaches that we use help you to assess your current situation, create a plan that is congruent with your goals, to know what to adjust, and manage the in-between place along the way. We typically work with our clients to create custom plans tailored to your situation and goals. If that sounds of interest, you can find us at www.transitiondesigns.com.